Nature and man are writing a new page in the history of the natural balance of Menorca, an island that was declared a Biosphere reserve over 25 years ago. In all 4 seasons, we traveled through its diverse landscapes and explored its flora and fauna, some of which is unique in the world. Discover the wildlife in the heart of the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean Sea looks empty. But even in this saltwater desert, life can take us by surprise. Here, it is only the true specialists that survive. Hustlers, nomads, seafarers who refuse to approach the shoreline at all costs. This is the pelagic zone, full of beings that have evolved to embrace this great blue expanse. The shearwater spends its life on the high seas in search of fish. Its flight technique is one of the most efficient to be found in nature. These birds are capable of flying long distances with minimum energy consumption, even when the weather conditions are rough. In Menorca, references were made to this bird long before the island had its own name. We come across 2 different species, Scopolis shearwater and the Balearic shearwater, the latter of which is a smaller endemic species. Their only colonies in the world are found right here, and scientists predict they will become extinct in the next few decades. The Balearic shearwater and the Manx shearwater only seek dry land during the breeding season. Today, their numbers are falling at an alarming rate. New predators introduced by humans wreak havoc in their breeding colonies. In the past, Menorca was different. Other plants and animals populated the island. Some 5,000 years ago, humans arrived. They transformed this landscape, and the ecosystem changed as a result. Not all creatures survived those changes, and some of the island's endemic species, like the Balearic island cave goat and a giant owl, vanished from the face of the earth. Today, humans are aware of the repercussions of their actions, and they are trying to respect nature's balance. But the real starting point for this island, and for the stories we are about to tell, began below the surface of the water. The movement of mighty tectonic plates caused Menorca to rise up and emerge some 15 million years ago. The geological variety on the island of Menorca is so impressive that it is considered to be of global significance. Each rock bears the written history of these lands, which speak of the depths of the ocean, sea currents, centuries of rain, the embrace of the earth, and the heat of magma. But even today, water continues to play a key role in the island's evolution. The sea erodes the coastline, redrawing its contours, breaking down the cliffs, and creating the fine sand beaches. Water dissolves the rocks, distributing sediment and nutrients all over the island, sustaining the forests and meadows, giving shape to the landscape. Thanks to the rainwater, humidity, and ever-present fog, life gives way to more life. Ant colonies are well-organized places. Thousands of individuals work together for the greater good. But despite this spirit of collaboration, accidents in the workplace can sometimes occur. On the road, in search of opportunity. The island is home to very diverse ecosystems, each with its own difficulties for travelers like this hedgehog. Crossing this stream might be beyond his capabilities. But there's another challenge ahead. Man has modified this landscape, dividing the land into plots by building stone walls, like this one. To continue his journey, he will have to climb over it. that effort has finally paid off. This land is flat and without vegetation or streams of water. But the adventure continues with another surprise in store. The hedgehog's instinctive reaction is to protect himself with his spines, standing stock still. Hundreds of hedgehogs are killed by cars each year while on their journeys. But this one has been lucky. Along the gusty northern coast, there are no forests. A strong wind known as the tramontana blows the sea salt onto dry land, making it difficult for most plants to grow. As the salt has a poisonous effect on their leaves. Despite this challenge, this plant, known locally as sucarels, has managed to survive along the shoreline. In the winter, it weathers low temperatures, strong winds, and high levels of salinity. During the summer, droughts put these endemic plants to the test. There are some 8 different species, and each has evolved to be extremely resistant. The plains that extend toward the north in this biosphere reserve have been used to graze animals for thousands of years. The fires and domestic herbivores introduced by humans modified the landscape. But nature managed to adapt to the conditions every step of the way. A cluster of spiny plants resists being eaten by cattle. Some animals that mimic the landscape to perfection have made this place their home. Indeed, there are so few places to hide that the art of camouflage is vital for their survival. Nature has yet another use for the domestic herbivores introduced by humans. They are quite useful when it comes to another very special group of animals, scavengers. Crows, kites, and Egyptian vultures are among the birds that feed on the corpses of cattle, although this time round, they may have arrived a bit early. We fly over the northern coast of Menorca in search of a fisher. These shags have developed a very peculiar system of fishing. They round up the fish near the beach and even manage to chase them out of the water. Their hydrodynamic shape and webbed feet, which they use to move forward, allow them to go even faster than certain types of fish. Some predatory fish show up to make the most of this opportunity. This specimen is young, but what he lacks in technique, he more than makes up for with his youthful enthusiasm and determination. He doesn't give up and gets results. These sheer cliffs don't end where they appear to. The surface of the water is just a thin veil between two worlds built on the vertical plane of these rock walls. In the past, the ocean floor was full of precious coral. The biodiversity there was as rich as that found in the most fertile parts of the planet. Turtles, seals, and sharks abounded around the island. But overfishing condemned that underwater Eden to near extinction. Today, we explore the shadows of what this sea once was. A stretch of Menorca's northern waters make up a reserve that protects some of the underwater sea life. Although even with these measures, the animals are still under threat from poachers and illegal fishing. But in certain parts of the reserve, life manages to surprise us. For some species of the dusky grouper, this place is one of its last hideouts. It has taken 30 years to grow to this size. In the past, individuals could be found weighing 150 kilos, although in order to get that big, a dusky grouper had to live some 50 years. The sea requires both time and rest in order to achieve that kind of splendor. Menorca is surrounded by little islets. And despite the scarce natural resources they have to offer, they are inhabited by an exceptional range of wildlife. On each islet, the lizards have evolved in their own unique way, but they do have something in common: knowing how to make the most of each opportunity. In late spring, a plant known as the dead horse arum lily comes into bloom. Its flowers smell like rotting meat, and this trick works so well that it attracts flies, which explore each blossom and become covered in pollen. In doing so, they are useful for pollinating other plants, and the dead horse arum lily is able to reproduce. None of this goes unnoticed by the lizards. All day long, they are on the hunt for nutrition. Living on this other islet near Menorca is another variety of lizard. The Menorcan daphne is an endemic shrub that is only found in this very spot. Here, it seems to survive thanks to a collaboration with this endemic lizard, which scatters the plant's seeds in its droppings. Some of the small islands surrounding Menorca are home to various colonies of the Audouin's gull. They will nest here and lay their eggs. They have a lot to say to each other, although it is difficult to crack their code. But the Audouin's gull, with its red bill and green legs, is not alone. It has a formidable competitor, bigger, stronger, and more aggressive, the yellow-legged gull. The yellow-legged gull keeps a close watch over the colony of Audouin's gulls. They don't think twice about stealing an egg or even a chick, given the chance. And if they're not given the chance, well, they'll just take it. To make up for their disadvantage in size, the Audouin's gulls raise their young in groups, which serves to intimidate their competitors. Feeding the chicks is a delicate operation. Inside the colony, there is a sense of camaraderie, but there is also competition and theft. Plus, the yellow-legged gulls are never far away. This explains why parents seek out a spot in the foliage where they can feed their young. The Audouin's gull was once on the brink of extinction. In the 1990s, it was considered the rarest gull in the world, and only 1,000 individuals were believed to be left. Overfishing by the local industry had left the birds without enough to eat. And that's when the unexpected happened. This shy, sensitive animal changed its habits in order to better take advantage of the waste left by humans. They also began to nest elsewhere. In this way, they managed to survive. Menorca is not a world apart. It's more like an oasis surrounded by a marine desert, and it carries out functions that are very significant for the nomads who make their way around our planet. Each year, one of the most impressive shows on Earth is presented by nature, the migration of the birds. In the spring, many birds fly thousands of kilometers to cross much of Africa and Europe. The first patches of land provide a chosen resting place after their long journey. And this small forest provides a welcome shelter from the birds of prey. And yet, an almost imperceptible danger is hidden amongst the greenery of the trees. Scientists capture birds in order to study their migratory habits. In doing so, they are able to explore the birds' journeys and even learn about climate change.
Vols acabar d'ajustar? Fas una altra?
Vinga.
After examining the animals and jotting down valuable information, they set them free. The worst enemy for a migrating bird is extreme exhaustion. Many birds do not manage to reach their destination, and this is a welcome tragedy for many local opportunists. Exhaustion also prevents other travelers from reaching the coast. Beneath the surface of the sea, other migrations are taking place. Certain species of fish approach the Menorcan coast in order to lay their eggs and hide them in the vegetation there. And their predators are never far off. Many of them have come in search of Poseidon's garden, the meadows of Posidonia. Considering the size of the area where the plants grow, these meadows generate even more oxygen than the Amazon rainforest, and they are an essential agent against climate change. These plants are similar to algae in appearance, and they keep the waters of the Mediterranean clear and clean. This is the ultimate habitat of this sea, home to more than 1,000 species of living creatures. Without Posidonia, there would be no beaches as we know them. The small animals that live there eventually make up part of the sand. Dead leaves from the plants wash up on shore and prevent the winter waves from dragging the sand back into the sea. Posidonia has become a sort of gatekeeper for our beaches. Nevertheless, half of these meadows have disappeared. Boat anchors, contamination, and invasive algae species have all but wiped out this extremely slow-growing plant. Posidonia is indeed so old that it's allowed the broad-nosed pipefish to evolve into a shape that imitates to perfection the plant's leaves. On the night shift, other creatures take center stage in the waters of the Mediterranean. This octopus uses his own body as a net to catch the fish as they try to hide among the rocks. Sometimes he uses his tentacles to capture his prey. Not all migratory birds are just passing through. Until just a few years ago, bee-eaters made their nests in the sandy embankments found near the beach. But an increase in tourism has forced them to seek out more isolated spots. This colony has discovered that in certain inland areas they can find the sand they need. And they are already digging a tunnel, which will measure up to 2 meters long. And right at the end, they will build a little nest for their young. In the process, they will extract up to 10 kilos of sand. While they are building their nests, the males bring gifts to their mates. And it seems that these presents are an essential element in the game of seduction. When hunting airborne insects, the bee-eater can fly extremely fast while simultaneously bobbing and weaving. The bee-eater does not often come down to the ground to eat ants or beetles, as it makes them more vulnerable. Although they can depend on hearing the alarm from another member of the colony if they sense that something is amiss. The common kestrel is a small predator that feeds on insects, rodents, and even small birds. They often perch on power lines, which are perfect for scanning the area for prey. Bee-eaters don't pay them much mind. They feel so safe, given their gift of agile flight, that no one even sounds the alarm. What these colorful birds don't know is that this area is frequented by colossal beings, capable of knocking down their nests with just one stamp of the foot. Some of the females are ready to lay their eggs, and they inspect the nest to make sure it is in perfect condition. But everything can change in a split second. The kestrel wastes no time. As it turns out, he wasn't as innocent as he appeared, and he's taken a pregnant bee-eater by surprise just as she was putting the final touches to her nest. Below, the only things left are her colorful feathers and the egg she was about to lay. Here, in a nest that once belonged to an Egyptian vulture, a female kestrel cares for her newborns and shelters them from the wind. Today's meal is lizard. In the kestrel's nest, we can see how varied the bird's diet is. Insects, grasshoppers, geckos, lizards, and birds keep her chicks well fed. And with meals of this size, there are sure to be leftovers. Better save them for later. This female has a pantry where she can store food or find ingredients, depending on her needs. Where the wind takes it easy on the land, that's where forests can flourish. Inland and in the southern parts of the island, pines, wild olives, and holm oaks keep the landscape green year-round. The Hermann's tortoise appreciates the shade and cool breeze of the forest, but he also visits other ecosystems and settings. At certain times of year, food scarcity is the main challenge. They found something to fill their bellies. Leftovers from the dinner of a nocturnal bird, which they dig into with no problem at all. With the arrival of spring, the green shoots are a welcome sight for the tortoises. After their long fast, they even eat the blossoms. Rising temperatures awaken the tortoise's aggressive mating rituals. The males bite the females until they are able to mount, and breeding is complete. This pregnant female is looking for the perfect spot to lay her eggs, which she will bury to protect them from predators. Two weeks later, the new baby tortoises will hatch and see the light of day for the first time. Within these cliffs, the scarred traces of ancient geological clashes, there are precious stores of water. On Menorca, there are no rivers. Seasonal flooding provides the best chance of survival for many water-loving species. Countless invertebrates manage to reproduce here. They can't see, smell, or identify each other, but each can sense that the other is near. This moment is all that matters now, and the courting ritual begins. The shell that protects them from their enemies can be a bit of a nuisance, but in nature, even in such passionate moments as these, death is always lurking. The European mole cricket is on the hunt, and the soft body of a snail is completely vulnerable when faced with its strong, serrated jaws, and more so now that the snail has shed its shell. But the snail has a secret weapon that will change its fate. It emits a mucus that neutralizes its attacker, giving it time to seek shelter. The European pond turtle, another great predator, is a frequent visitor to these streams. The viperine water snake is harmless to humans, but is as dangerous as the fiercest anaconda for minnows and insects. But this ravine has a very special secret. A creature born near North America in the Sargasso Sea traversed the pitch-black depths of the Atlantic Ocean. It reached the Mediterranean Sea and swam up the narrow causeway of these streams to enter into the total darkness of an underground cave, where she underwent a metamorphosis and became a strange sort of fish, the eel. She has been waiting here for many years now, waiting for the right moment to return to the Sargasso Sea, where she will lay her eggs and then die. The island is dotted with a variety of wetlands. The Albufera des Grau is at the heart of the Biosphere Reserve in Menorca. In the autumn, many species of waterfowl come here from far-off points around the European continent in search of winter months that are free from ice and snow. In spite of the cold, their bodies can remain in the water all day long. These birds keep their feathers in tip-top shape to keep them waterproof. If you're a bird, your beak reveals your diet. This one filters organisms out of the mud. Others use their long bills to hunt for tiny organisms at the bottom of the marshy waters. The heron is a fine fisherman, catching each fish he spots after stirring up the mud. The common kingfisher's bill is extremely strong, and his fishing strategy is unique. The purple gallinule became extinct, but was then recovered thanks to recent reintroduction efforts on a nearby island. The population is now considered stable. Ospreys pose no threat to waterfowl, specializing, as they do, in catching fish. Although their technique is not always successful. In late winter, as the days lengthen, the birds begin to feel the first pangs of the season. Passing their genes on to the next generation is the most important thing for these male shovelers. The females stand back to see how the power struggle will pan out. Both the male and female members of this group of black-winged stilts are restoring order. There is a real struggle to keep one's mate or find a new one. Soon it will be spring, and the reproductive cycle will begin all over again for most of these waterfowl. Some will seek out the island lakes, while others will set out once more on the long journey home. In recent years, humans have made considerable efforts to protect this natural treasure. 70% of the Menorcan coast remains untouched, and its wetlands have been conserved just in the nick of time. Currently in the Mediterranean area, this is the Biosphere Reserve with the largest expanse of seawater. Ever cleaner energy, better management of resources, and improved control of the impact of tourism are just some of the challenges facing humans in their search for natural balance on this island known as Menorca.